I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We said these words each morning before we really knew what they meant, and we stood for a flag that we were told represented freedom, yet still flies over schools where children don't make it home. I want you to imagine something with me. You're packed in, shoulder to shoulder, your friends on either side. The bleachers are creaking as the students shift, and a relentless wave of movement is rolling throughout the crowd. Up front, the principal approaches the podium, and the noise starts to quiet. Everyone waiting for that first word to cut through the silence. But it isn't a word. And that's when everything stops. It's chaos and it's fear. It's the moment that defines the before and the after. It is another act of gun violence in our schools. No child should have to send a text that says there's a gun on school grounds and it's firing. No parent should have to receive it. I've had to send that text twice. We live in a society where our policies prefer to turn a blind eye to the blood of innocent children. How much longer till we put a foot down and say enough is enough? The US has neglected the issues of gun violence and its impact on our schools for far too long. It is time to stand to demand firmer protection of our Second Amendment rights whilst keeping our children safe. These actions are necessary not only for the freedom of America's present, but for the freedom of America's future, because no longer will our freedom be interrupted by gun violence in our schools. Gun violence is no longer just a health and safety issue. It's a public crisis. CNN explains that as of this year, gun violence is the leading cause of death amongst children and teens, beating out car accidents, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and all diseases. That's a 106% increase since the year 2013. The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health explains that in 2022, 131 people died a day due to gun violence. That's one person every 11 minutes. And schools are not immune to this violence. David Riedman's K-12 school shooting database finds that in the year 2022, there were 351 school shootings. But numbers do nothing to explain the true horror of what a school shooting looks like. Columbine, 25 dead. Sandy Hook, 26 dead. Parkland High, 17 dead. Virginia Tech, 32 dead. Robb Elementary, 21 dead, and so many more. How many more times do we have to text, "Mom, I'm scared there's a gun," before we see change? The truth is, guns are far too easy to access and far too easy to bring onto school grounds. In fact, the Washington Post finds that beyond those who are dead and wounded, 398,000 children have experienced gun violence at school and emerged extremely traumatized. And even then, we know that this number is far too small to be accurate. On this graph, each tiny dot represents 20 children who were exposed to gun violence at their school. And even then, this isn't enough. In the state of Indiana alone, you do not have to have a permit to purchase, a registration of owners, a licensing of firearms, or a permit to carry any rifles, handguns, or shotguns. We have seen more violence in our schools since before I was born, yet we still do not see change. Gun violence is such a polarized issue, but it does not have to be. Raise your hand if you or someone you know owns a firearm. Raise your hand if that firearm is safely stored, that person could pass a background check, and if that person is mentally stable. If your hand is up like mine, then the gun owner would pass gun registration laws that could save American lives. Background checks, child access prevention laws, and mental aptitude tests have the possibility to keep our children in their schools safe. Howard Spivak, the former director of the Division of Violence Prevention with the CDC, finds that when we compare gun regulations to car regulations, there's alarming similarities. We didn't eliminate cars. We did things to make them safer. The same thing can happen with gun regulations. With policies such as background checks, child access prevention laws, and mental aptitude tests, we create a safer community. By keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals and ensuring those that are responsible citizens still exercise their Second Amendment rights afforded to us. These protections are necessary, not only for us, but for the future of America. In fact, these policies are already effective in states across the United States. If we start first with background checks, Michael Siegel, with the Rockefeller Institute on Government, finds that in states where there are universal background checks required to purchase a firearm, there is a 12.9% decrease in gun violence deaths. Second, child access prevention or safe storage laws. Let's first look at two cases. The first in 2021 when a 15-year-old shot and killed 4 students at Oxford High School, and the second in 2024 when a 14-year-old killed 2 students and 2 teachers at Appalachia High School. In both cases, the parents were tried with involuntary manslaughter for giving their children unregistered, unrestricted access to their guns. Child access prevention laws prevents this. And finally, mental aptitude checks. There is already a federal law preventing individuals who have been involuntarily committed or shown mental instability from owning firearms. All that's left to do is enforce it. We are a nation built on justice, liberty, and the freedom of safety for every student who enters a classroom. However, today that promise is broken. Not only did gunfire replace the sound of warning bells, but fear has replaced freedom. But it does not have to stay this way. Stand with me in action. On the screen is a QR code that I need you to scan. It will give you 2 things. First, a list of your representatives, and second, a speech that can be sent over phone or via email demanding to see action and change within the gun policies of our nation. Every student should have the right to go to school and learn safely, and every student should have the courage to stand up and demand that our freedom no longer comes at the cost of our lives. And it is because these laws protect the very freedoms that we pledge allegiance to that we must accept change. The last school shooting was 6 days ago. On December 2nd, we saw 2 students shot in Burton High School in California. Because we pledge allegiance to the flag, it is our time to demand that our freedom is no longer interrupted by gun violence in our schools. Thank you.